So yes, good evening, everyone, and good morning, depending on which part of the world you're joining us in. I see a lot of people joining in. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome all of you to this first session of Dil Se with Daaji. Prioritizing and taking time off over the weekend to do this means you're prioritizing your own self and your inner journey, and that means a lot. So, really thankful to all of you for tuning in and also joining in through Zoom so that you can have this interaction with Daaji. And like I said, it's been pretty overwhelming. We literally launched this program just early part this week, and everyone's been registering, and therefore I also wanted to say that not only do we have this weekend, we also have the next weekend in Hindi. And then the following weekend, we're also trying to see if we can get a lot of corporates to come in and have an interaction with Daaji. So it's all very interesting. It's all going to be very, very exciting. So please stay tuned in. And I think the most important thing I just wanted to say is that, like I said, prioritizing yourself is really important. So please keep your phones away. Please stay in a quiet place so that you can actually make the most of this interaction with Daaji. So just want to make sure you have these housekeeping rules. And I think most importantly is that we are going to start the session off with some questions and answers. So please keep the questions coming in, put them down in the chat so that we can collect them, and then, we can ask you to come, sort of make you unmute you and allow you to ask questions to Daaji. Obviously, joining Heartfulness during this pandemic means that it's not been very normal. We've all not been able to really very naturally integrate into the Heartfulness community or visit the Kanha, Shanti, Vanam, our world headquarters, ashram, or actually be part of large gatherings, which is all very integral to the Heartfulness practice. So therefore, this was a session that was inspired from there. And Daaji was really keen to actually interact with all of you and be able to listen about your experiences, or if you have any questions that you want to raise with him about the practice, please do keep those coming here, and I'll make sure that I obviously try and ask Daaji as many questions as possible. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure, Daaji will be joining us soon, but generally the way we are seeing the flow of this session is, like I said, we'll try and do Q&A for about half an hour, and then we can go into heartfulness meditation session after that, and just, wrap the session up. Pranam, Daaji.
How are you?
I'm very well, Daaji. With your grace, how are you doing?
Very well, dear, very well. So,
wonderful to see you.
Yes, yes. Same here, same here. I see so many of new faces here. And
yes, I was just saying that, joining during the pandemic is a little unique, where we've not been able to come to Kanha or feel part of the larger Heartfulness community and family. So your inspiration to get this session together was to really see the new practitioners.
yes, I would say it's not very normal to start and not be at the ashram and be with each other and interact with others and get feedback, get inspired by so many, like-minded people. Those days where Guru used to prevail, I think they're gone now, because now we learn from each other. There is no, as they say, hierarchies. That's why Babuji would say, I don't make disciples. And he always addressed all of us as his associates. So that's a great, and that's why this association is very important between us. And Lord Buddha used to call this association as Sangha, where people come together and interact, share ideas, experiences, newer visions. So that'll be wonderful. I think slowly COVID is letting us
Yes.
move freely, and it's losing its grip over our movement. I think it has taught us many, many lessons. I mean, if we don't learn lessons from such calamities, we will miss out a lot. Instead of crying over COVID, let's learn, let's find out, introspect what it has taught us.
Absolutely. No, I absolutely agree, Daji, and to what you said about Babuji, calling us associates. I think as he is in many other things, he was a visionary, I think, even in management, because now we talk so much about flat organizations and no hierarchy. I think he already had all those management tools very much embedded in our practice early on. Um, I am not going to be taking too much of your time. I think there are so many people here who have so many questions to ask you. So I'm going to just now look at the chat and ask you questions. And also, I have an interesting guest for you here, Daji. Shraddha Sharma, the founder of Your Story. She's here, and it's been an absolute pleasure to have her. She's a personal friend as well, and of course, she's visited Kanha and has been experiencing meditation for the last few years. So she's here, and she was very keen to ask you a question. So I'm going to hand it to her.
Thank you so
Hello,
much, Pragya.
Shraddha.
Daaji, I'm
Well,
so happy to see you. You said new faces, and to everyone, I'm an old face, hopefully looking young with heartfulness. And we've missed seeing you and coming to Kanha, but you've been such a tremendous influence. And to everyone joining, it has been a blessing. It's transformative, and especially for all of us who live crazy lives. Daji, I have to ask you two questions. Pragya said one, but I have two questions. One, how has these last 2 years, when I've not met you, we've not seen you have your blessing in person as live, what has these 2 years meant for you? And second is a very, you'll feel upset, but I have this question. Daji, sometimes when one feels very depressed and anxious, 40 minutes looks like a very long time. How do you carry on 40 minutes? कम नहीं कर सकते हैं 10 मिनट या 15 मिनट कैसे करें जब बहुत ज्यादा स्ट्रेस्ड और डिप्रेशन में हो तब?
all right. Let's tackle the first one. How were last 2 years for me? Very quiet, very creative. I learned a lot of new things. Earlier when I was busy every single minute meeting people and giving sittings, etc. Sitting becomes, once or twice a day where we would give sittings worldwide in one go, instead of people coming ad hoc, oh, I want a sitting, then after 15 minutes another person says I want a sitting, and that used to be quite chaotic for me. And I found a lot of solace and peace in these 2 years, not being pushed around, by my brothers and sisters with their emotional needs. Second thing, I became very involved with reading lots and lots of books and writing and coming up with newer and ideas. Quiet times and contemplative moments in my life made me rethink about the practice, its approach, and new methodologies, new ways how to help others. And most importantly, also something that is very dear to me, many discoveries were made how to make our plants and trees happier, and healthier. And few things that we innovated were deep root irrigation. Second thing was how to use biocharcoal, and how to water them properly. How to many things about plants and trees. So that was another one. And we also developed something very profound, which is not very well um, prevalent in India, though it is nothing new to our Indian homes, to grow, sprouts from all kinds of seeds, and instead of cooking them, eat them raw. Raw food is really, really, really good, and I highly recommend it because it can prevent a lot of diseases, and especially if you have cancer, Raw food is the best way to go. So few things like that, say health-wise, at a physical level, mental and spiritual, a lot of new things like, new bulbs lighting up in my head. So that has been really, really good. Now coming to this anxiety and depression, when you have it, how do you sit for 40 minutes of meditation? So this question is something like, when we making a deal with the child is running a fever of 102 degrees, and your daughter or granddaughter argues with you, mommy, I will take only 2 drops of this medicine. Would you agree with that? Of course, you will agree and say, okay, why not 2 drops? I'll give you 2 drops, and you will cheat and say, okay, let's finish this. And instead of 2 drops, you will give a complete proper dose as a mother. Now, here, the mother and the taker, both are same individual, myself. Your conscience is your mother. Your desire is yourself. And you say, oh, I can't. The very thing that can cure meditation, you're trying to postpone it, and you want to take 1/10 of a dose. And even that will not work, because meditation to me is not about time. You can meditate for 1 hour and don't get a single bit of transformation within you. But people like Babuji, who would meditate for 2 minutes and dive to the deepest level of their consciousness, within 2 minutes they resurface again. So idea of meditation is to go as deep as possible in a very short time. And we need to cultivate certain attitudes towards the practice, because practice is hardly 95% towards our success. And I tell you, in the business world, what they call, what are the 3 requirements for a successful business? They say, the retail store, about the retail store's success, they say location, location, and location. If you have a pharmacy or a drugstore right in front of a hospital, it has greater chances of being successful than a pharmacy in a remote village. It will be disastrous. Likewise, 3 things required for a spiritual success: attitude, attitude, and attitude. What sort of attitude one must have? It is like lover's passion or lover's state of heart. When we were all teenagers, remember the crush you had on the other person. And by chance, if you had a date and say, okay, we'll meet at 3 o'clock afternoon at such and such a theater or such and such a restaurant, what happens to you then? The whole morning, you wake up so early, you get dressed up so fast, and hardly there is a sleep. You may not even take your lunch. The moment you try, your mommy gives you lunch, you say, no, mommy, I'm not hungry. And if you're a boy, you will end up going to the theater 1 hour before. You'll be there at 2 o'clock, walking on the pavement, left and right, left and right, left and right, waiting for your beloved to come. And if she decides to tease you and comes 5 minutes late, you'll say, oh my God, my world is ending. Maybe she is not interested in me. Maybe she will say no. Maybe she'll forget about her. So this is the kind of attitude we got to have when we are pursuing God. Are you crazy about realizing the ultimate. If we have that sort of madness, restlessness, then I think it's possible to even achieve those depths, because all night you'll be restless. As soon as I wake up in the morning, I meditate and be with the Lord. And time will come that you may not have to wait because you are all the time with the Lord. Even your night sleep becomes as if you are sleeping in the lap of God. You wake up in the morning and you will say, oh, I don't need to meditate. I've been always with the Lord. So this is what we are looking for. See, meditation as a practice, how long will you continue doing it? 20 years, 30 years? There has to be some end to these efforts. Like, you study medicine or you study engineering or computer science. How many years do you study? 4 years, 6 years, 10 years, 12 years? And you start practicing the field in which you had been educated. You continue all your life studying, it will look very foolish. Same way, we have to apply all the knowledge that we gather into real life. Through meditation, it's not just the knowledge we get, but we become something from inside. And that state of being has to be exercised and made dynamic in our day-to-day affairs. If you're a mother and a housewife, you're cooking and looking after your family. That is done with a lot of passion, as if it's a duty given by God and you're handling it very well. If you are working in some office or industry, with similar passion, we got to work. Anything less will not do. All our activities ends up being service to the Lord. And that is what is meant by loving what you do. Many times we end up doing things for which we have no passion. But soon we realize whether I like it or not. I have to work. Let me give one small example. Most of you have traveled by flight so many times. Whenever there is a turbulence in the air, the plane will, So what happens to you then? Most people get fearful. They are afraid. But can you jump out of the plane at that time? It's a foolish thought. Though you may want to, I need to get out of this turbulence. Oh my God, please help me. So turbulences in life, day-to-day life will be there. Turbulence even during meditation will be there. When the preceptor is giving you a sitting, and within 5 minutes, oh no, a lot of thoughts are coming and my back is hurting and I'm so uncomfortable. Let me open my eyes. Okay, you open your eyes. What next? So might as well close your eyes and go through the process and see what really happens. Accept the situation for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. If thoughts bother you so much, there are things like this you can do, you see. Especially people who are depressed and having anxious mind. There's a volcano going on in their head. Especially if you are meditating, you will chase the tail of all those thoughts like mad persons. Nothing wrong with it. Constantly keep reminding yourself that, oh, I'm meditating. If thoughts overwhelm you again, then what do? Breathe deeply. Hold your thought and have attention towards the heart. Okay. If that also doesn't help, gently open your eyes and look at the sky. and gently close your eyes again. So few things like that can help. Or pick up one book that you would like to read. Read it for 5 minutes, like things like Whispers, or or literature, or any spiritual literature. You read for a few minutes, and then again close your eyes and see what happens. Yes, Shraddha, what is your another question you have?
Daaji, it's a
Daaji, first
blessing.
I need to say that the way you impersonated the Abhyasi is actually Shraddha when she takes a sitting. So I thought almost there, and you can just see her because she opens her between and then closes them. And I also feel that I hope, Shraddha, you get as crazy about heartfulness as you are about your story. And hopefully I'll receive a call from you at 3 a.m. to practice. So back to you.
No, thank you, Pragya. Thank you for this opportunity. Daaji, I have to say this. I hope we get to hear you every day because it feels you feel transformed listening to you. Thank you. Thank you. You're a blessing. And I'm really looking forward to meeting you in Kanha. It is a joy. And to everyone who's a new practitioner, it's a blessing. Just try it. It's transformative. And Daaji, thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Great. Thanks, Shraddha. And Daaji, the way I'm going to run this is there are a few questions coming in the chat box. So I'll pick up those. And then there are also a few people who've raised their hands. So we'll move to them as well. So there's a question from Rahul who says that, how do I really assess growth? What are the key landmarks for me to understand that I am actually progressing in my spiritual progress, my spiritual practice?
Well, we are all always looking for the easiest way in many things. Easiest way to know your progress. There are two individuals in your life. One is your mother. If your mother says, "You're okay, my son," or "my daughter," you're getting less angry, you're less irritated, you're more regular, you're very calm, you're very peaceful, you're very empathetic. Your mother endorses your progress. And if you're married and and your wife says, "My God, what a transformation, you are more loving, you are not shouting the way you used to shout before, and you're not as demanding now," that's another sign of progress. The spiritual progress can easily be gauged by how we behave, with our family members and friends, and how we look at our work ethics. If you are doing your dishes, cleaning your dishes in the kitchen, how peaceful are you when you are doing your dishes? Or are you just throwing the vessels, clean it and throw it, cleaning it and throwing it, and making a lot of noise and irritating everybody in the family? Instead of that, you can gently pour the water and soap it, clean it, and put it dry up your clothes and put it in an organized manner. This is another sign how you perform your tasks. Personally, do you feel peaceful? Do you feel joy in your heart? Do you feel tremendous bliss now and then? Do you feel that your attachment to so many other things which are unnecessary in life are dropping? And do you feel that your relation with God is really becoming stronger and stronger? Okay. So there are many ways of gauging our spiritual progress. And as you spend more and more time with meditation, you will know how your spiritual journey is also taking place. When we move from one chakra to another yogic chakra, the vibrations that you feel, the experiences that you have, and if they coincide with the description that Babuji has given in two books, one is the efficacy of Raj Yoga, and second is towards infinity. read them. Then you will know, yes, I am moving or I'm stuck.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's Antoine who's raised his hand and has been wanting to ask a question.
Yes.
Yes, Antoine.
Good afternoon to everybody. I'm Antoine of France. I read with a great interest what you told us about the Gita, the 7 verses that was really transmitted by Krishna. And I'm worried about the distance between the Muslim and the Hindu, as well as the distance between the Christian and the Muslim here. So I would like to try to build a bridge between Muslim and Hindu by working on what is universal in the Veda and what is universal in the Quran. And we know that the Veda, especially the Rig Veda, has something given by the Rishi and a lot of other things given by the Brahman. And if I follow your transmission from Babuji, only 1% of the Gita has been really transmitted directly. So do you have any clue about the Rig Veda?
Antoine, I have not the slightest of clue.
Okay.
Because, when you have a specific problem with an individual, you can gamble a solution with the one person. But when the whole society, when the whole community, be it Hindu or be it Christian or be it Muslim, there are infinite numbers of problems. And you cannot teach or give a solution to each problem individually. But what is being recommended in heartfulness, that as we practice, we become more and more aware. And this inner awareness keeps guiding us under all situations. You see, I cannot force my opinions even to my son or my wife or to my father or mother, right? Can I prevail upon my endorsement on anyone? I cannot. So the change has to come from individual self. So just as you like to have universal peace, which is the message of Veda, may there be peace in the Vishwa, in the world. But how are you going to attain the universal peace unless and until each individual enjoys that peace? In a family, when you have 6, 7 family members, will that family be happier if even 1 or 2 individuals are suffering? No, each one will have to be healthy, happy, and joyful. Only then we can say this family is successful and happier. So when it comes to this rivalry between various communities, there is no one solution. And we have to wait and wait and wait until consciousness of human beings change for good. And that's why each one of us are trying to, meditate and transform ourselves at an individual level. I can be very rich, or my neighbor can be very rich, and my neighbor's neighbor is very poor. What will happen? See? So the intelligence of one community or heart generosity or the generosity of the heart may be different from one community to another community, because everyone has different level of agenda, different level of perception. So Antoine, to tell you the truth, I don't have a solution that can work like a magic. But yes, if there's individual problem, we can work at it. See? And I don't know whether the individual problem can also be solved or not, because I can give a solution, Just as, as a pharmacist, I can dispense a prescription. But it's up to you to take the medicine or not to take the medicine. And like some very naive or very innocent senior citizens, when they come, they're taking 10, 12 pills every day, perhaps. And they somehow, they don't know, sometimes they forget when to take it. Oh, doctor has written me this prescription, pharmacist has given me this prescription. And let us say you end up taking your diuretic tablet at night and your sleeping pill in the morning, what will happen? Whole day you'll keep on sleeping and all night you'll be running to the bathroom. Only thing that, doctor would say, my, so and so, you should have taken this tablet in the morning and this one in the evening, because sleeping tablet you have to take only at bedtime. Such common knowledge, ordinary knowledge, I think we are losing a grip over it also. Things like, when to wake up, when to go to sleep. These are fundamental principles. Being in tune with nature is only this, how I can adjust, not only with the nature as we speak, but also the nature of individuals within the family, nature of mine, my nature, my partners, my spouse and children, my parents, how my nature can mingle with my colleagues in the office, and the great nature, how I work around the solar movement and the star movement. It's a very deep subject to even discuss on such a scale. But we can always discuss this at length and how we can take advantage of it. See how we can take advantage of being in tune with nature.
Thank you, Daaji. So another question from the chat, which I think relates to what you just mentioned, which is how, from Nivedita, and she says, how important is it to surrender to the master? We always have successors. So should we be surrendering to the system or to the master?
In the boxers, what do they practice? How do they practice?
Shadow boxing.
Practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't practice on their spouses. You have, as they say, a box, and then you keep on playing with the rubber or, rubber ball, and you keep on hitting it, da-dang, 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 like that. So the master is your gunny bag kind of a thing with whom you keep fighting. Surrender to me is like a fight you have, inner war. And why would you surrender to a person whom you don't even know? Right? So I find, and also don't expect anyone to surrender. But without this surrender, you can progress up to a certain extent, but not beyond that. You will enjoy the effects of meditation. Okay, but to go beyond and become something, you'll have to surrender. And this master we call is not a person. It's a principle. And as you say, one master comes, successor comes, like Lalaji was there, and then Babuji came into picture, and then Chariji came, and now that's my turn at the moment. Are these individuals, do we have to surrender to these individuals? Think over it. It's not the person. Let me put it another way. When a river starts moving from the mountains, the origin of Ganga, river Ganga, is in Gangotri, up high in the mountains of Himalayas, where little water trickles, little by little, and other tributaries of other water bodies also join. When it comes to the plains around Delhi area, it becomes so wide and huge. And then when it moves further in UP, and then into Bihar, and then into West Bengal, the names keep changing. Bhagirathi, Ganga, then in Calcutta or in Bengal, it's known as? No. It assumes a different name, you see. But the water, the river is the same.
Yeah.
See, so the surrendering is not to an individual, but to this principle, the spirit behind the movement, spirit behind the transmission, spirit behind your inner voice, and surrendering ultimately to the existence itself. We find problem even surrendering to our own heart's voice, let alone surrender to another person's heart's voice. So our exercise begins with our own heart. Am I able to listen to my heart and follow the dictums of my heart and see the results? Whenever I have put a stone over my heart and say, okay, keep quiet, let me do this. I love to do this. I like to do this now. I don't like this person, but I need to go on a date with this person. What happens then? But when your heart says, do this, and you say, no, I don't want to do this, it's very difficult, then you have always suffered. See, whenever you don't listen to the heart, or if you put it differently, the conscience of your heart, then you have not listened. You have not surrendered even to your own self.
Yeah.
And later on, we realize that when I begin to surrender to myself, meaning listening to my heart's voice more and more, then we realize that yes, the self within me and the spirit of the master, they're both same. There's no difference. So always listen to your heart. And that's why we meditate on the presence of divinity in the heart. We purify our heart. We become purer and simpler in the process. And we become a right vessel for Lord to reside in our heart. See, in such a heart, as they say, there's a nice thing about Bible. Bible has a lot of what we call so-called anticipation or the motivation towards the heaven. But there is little problem with that because the heaven is not a physical dimension. When our heart becomes purer and loving and simpler, God cannot but get attracted and settle in our heart for good. And then the heart becomes heavenly. And you start enjoying the bliss. Moment we go against the dictums of the heart, becomes more complex and impure, then the heart continues to suffer with emotions, depressions, anxiety. That is hell.
So, Daaji, I'm hearing you basically say that the more and more far away we get from our heart's voice, the more conflict gets created, and therefore all of the other things that come, which is anxiety and the conflict within ourselves because we're not listening to our heart's voice.
Exactly. And if you have to go further, though we don't believe in sin and Sahajmarg way of thinking, but when you look at Judaism, and in Jewish tradition, sin, S-I-N, sin, it means you have deviated from the main pursuit, main source, main goal. There is what we call, Babuji calls it as a curvature. You are supposed to go like this, but you have made a U-turn. That is sin. When your heart is telling you to go in this direction and you said, no, I have to go in this direction. Changing your direction against your heart is also sin. Because it is this sin that makes you suffer.
Yeah.
Nobody is going to give you punishment. No one can give you worse punishment than yourself.
Very true. Yeah. Talking about punishment, Daaji, there's somebody who's asked that does getting married become a hindrance if you're trying to lead a spiritual life? So,
well, it all depends. You know, today I was reading Abdul Kalam's quotation. He says, our connections are like electrical connections, you know, the electric wires. If you connect your wires to a wrong wire, it will get diffused. But if you connect it to a right wire, it can light up your bulb and change your life altogether. Wrong connection will give, you know, it can blow up the whole machine. So be careful whom you are marrying, see. Are you marrying because the other person has a lot of money? Then you're in trouble. Are you marrying because you are forced to marry because of your circumstances? Then you're in trouble. Are you marrying someone because you'll get a green card in America? That's a problem again, see. But if you are really loving, then I think it can only expand. And in true love, I think we can help each other to grow spiritually. So to me, marriage is not good or bad. It depends what you make of it.
true. And that's some great advice. Does anyone else? Oh, Ronita, you have your hand up. Do you want to ask a question?
Yes, sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. Thanks, Pragya. I wanted to understand what it means when you say you're connected to the source now. I remember when I started the heartfulness meditation about 3 years back, I was said that you're now connected to the source and you will be able to experience transmission and practice meditation. Can you explain this a little bit more, please?
Ronita, could you also turn your video on so that Daaji can see you? That will be really nice.
The source is missing. I see the source of voice. Okay. So you are the source of the image that we are receiving, right?
Yes, hi, that's me. Sorry, I'm in a very remote part with very patchy network, which is why my video is off, but I'm very much here paying full attention.
Fantastic.
Yes. So yeah, nice question. And to many of us, you know, we understand source in many different ways. To me, the source is only one, God. Sometimes when our people use the word like God, some people get offended. Oh, these are religious people again, and we need to run away from the religion. So many new age thinkers, they say it's best to use such words as divine or the source, things like that. So you can't use the esoteric Sanskrit language or this or that. So to make it more appealing, we use such words. That's all there is. This is my truthful answer. And the source is always one. And even when somebody says source is God, how much more have you understood? Not much.
Yeah.
So whatever be the source, I mean, it's an idea that we are receiving this transmission from the source and trying to be one with that. And nature of the source is what? We don't know as yet. But as we move on spiritually and as our consciousness unfolds, we'll have better and better idea about the source. And let it remain a mystery. To get all the answers will spoil your movie, Imagine your husband or your boyfriend, you've gone for a movie which is suspense movie. And even before the movie starts, he said, oh, this is the suspense I'm revealing to you. You'll feel like choking his neck, no? Why did you reveal the secret? There is no secret of God or any of that sort. That personal experience has to be your own. We use all kinds of languages to portray that, oh, this is the source. We talk like that, but no one can say how that God is. It has to be my own personal experience. So, source, we have to take it as in a very arbitrary way, that yes, there is something like a source. And we are receiving this transmission from there.
Understood. Yeah, so just a lot of mystery, a lot of faith, and that hopefully we'll get there if we meditate regularly and follow the 10 maxims and ensure we're committed heartfulness practitioners, is what I'm hearing, Daaji, which is an uphill task.
And okay, I think one more last question and then
Sure.
We meditate. Otherwise, it'll be too late for most of us.
Yes, Daaji. So I think Deepak Shukla, you don't look like a Deepak Shukla, but that's what it reads. So do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, she's my daughter. She wants to show the drawing of Babuji Maharaj. She made herself.
Oh my God. Very nice, very nice.
Babuji,
Thank you.
I want to come Kanha. When I come?
Tomorrow you come, tomorrow.
Hopefully the world will normalize and we all will be able to go to Kanha. Last question. So Rahulji, would you like to ask your question? And then Daaji, we can meditate.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Daaji, my question is how to tune ourselves so as to understand the flow.
To understand the
Flow.
The flow. Okay.
Flow. Yes, I have read somewhere that Babuji has written that don't try to swim against the flow, try to be in the flow.
Yeah, okay. I'd like to give you some background. We all have a rhythm. For example, we are born and there is an end, beginning and the end. We breathe in and breathe out, breathe in and breathe out. This is a rhythm. Then there is a rhythm of right nostril and left nostril. Sometimes we breathe more predominantly from the right, and sometimes we breathe more predominantly from the left. And it keeps changing. And sometimes both are equal. Okay. This is a rhythm. There is also another rhythm when our body absorbs a lot of energy. And there are times we release energy also. One has to understand how this works. When we become more attentive towards all these things, then you will know whether the energy is going out of my body or I'm receiving. Now, when you observe all these things, Babuji found that before the sunrise, we are receiving energies from all over, from the surrounding we are receiving. At that time, if we meditate, the transmission is also sent by the master. And it flows with the energy which is existential. So it goes with the flow. If you try to meditate after the sunset, this energy flow changes. Even during daytime, it will change. So it is best to meditate when the energy is inflowing and transmission is also flowing. Your attention is inward and you can meditate better. Similarly, in the evening, when we are about to do the cleaning, energy outflow is there. At that time, if we can remove these impressions that we are gathering during daytime through the backside, in the form of vapor, that will go, this vapor and the energy outflow, they will follow the same channel. So it's an advantage to us. Of course, you can swim against the flow, but then you need a lot of efforts, you see. You have to be a good swimmer. Or you should be such that you can change the energy inflow and outflow yourself. If you want to experiment something, what I'm trying to say, that whenever you are breathing from the left nostril, write it down, otherwise you will forget. Whenever you are breathing from the left nostril, you are receiving energy. It's always the case. Whenever you are breathing more from the right nostril, you are dissipating more and more energy. Okay. Now, how to balance both? There are yogic exercises like you can do pranayama, aggressive pranayama, left nostril, right nostril breathing, or you can stand up and jump a few times, 10, 15 times you can jump. Or you can crawl like a child on fours. And immediately you will see that your both nostrils are in balance. And when you meditate, when both nostrils are in balance, you'll have better meditation at that time. So, try it. Thank you. Thank you. It has been
Just
wonderful.
reminder, please keep your phone switched off so you can actually experience the session.
Yeah, once I begin, you don't need my presence. Once we start meditation.
Sure, Daaji.
Okay, so what's the time now?
It's 9:50.
9:50. So it's been a long one. Okay, so after about 25 minutes, you conclude the sitting. Huh?
Sure, Daaji.
Okay, I'll begin it now.
Thank you, Daaji.
Let's all meditate.
That's all. Hope you all had a good meditation session. Please do take the time to journal about your experience. Take a couple of minutes after this to certainly journal how you felt and write your diary, please. And yeah, thank you everyone for dialing in, and please do the same tomorrow. We have another session tomorrow and day after. So please do join in like you did today. And looking forward to many more interesting questions and obviously an enriching dialogue with Daaji. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Bye. Sleep well.